From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello and welcome to your show, the O&M Show. I'm Obiora Ilo. Mamode is here.
Yes, and of course I'd like to welcome everyone out there to today's edition of the program. And how's your Sunday going? Right here in the capital of Nigeria, Abuja. It's a sunny Sunday afternoon, and all is going well so far here. Obiora, apart from, you know, the noise about the NGO bill coming from the National Assembly, and then a little bit of talk about reactions to President Buhari's speech at the UN. I think all seems to be quiet for now.
Well, a lot of people are weighing into this restructuring debate. Yes. And the most prominent in the last 1 or 2 days is the intervention of the Jagaban, you know, the doyen of APC politics. Yes. I'm talking about the former governor of Lagos State, Tinubu.
Bola Ahmed
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know, he has weighed in and made quite a lot of points why Nigeria should not be decapitated, why there should be restructuring. You know, the restructuring thing is coming from everywhere.
Well, I think his position is, you know, really centered on true federalism.
I think that's his dominant voice in this restructuring thing. True federalism. Everybody's talking about it, whether they are states, whether they are regions, but whatever is the federating units, they must be able to take a lot more responsibility for the well-being of their people.
Yes, if you eventually begin to practice, and you don't really need a conference or anything to get that practice in place. If you really practice true federalism, I think there will be no need for the talk of restructuring the country and all that, because if you allow the federating units to operate,
that will be restructuring.
That will be restructuring.
That will be restructuring because they are not as involved as people who want them to be, especially when there's so much power concentrated on in the federal government. You know, so much power. So everybody wants to be president, and they become president. Like someone said, they don't want to do with they don't know what to do with the presidency. Yes. So if you have these pockets of authority in the federating units, even if someone at the center is not doing it right, you find out that a majority of those federating units may get it right, like we saw pre-1967. You know, the Southwest,
the regions.
You know, they were. You know, everybody concentrated on where they had comparative advantage.
And then there was a healthy rivalry. Oh, I see that you guys over in the West have set up a university. So you know what? I'm going to set up my own in my own region as well.
That is better than yours.
That is better than yours.
Healthy competition.
Yes. So I think, you know, this concentration on the center, and, you know, the redistribution of wealth as it is going back to everybody. I think to a large extent it encourages lethargy. Yes, you know, people just say, well, if they want to walk and kill themselves, let them kill themselves. I'll just wait on the 28th or thereabout. We'll all gang up in Abuja and share that national cake.
And you know, it's made the governors so lazy that all they do is wait for these monies to come. A lot of the governors, but there are some exceptional ones who are trying to help their states. But majority of them, all they wait for is for the sharing of the cake.
Obiora, I don't even agree. If
that
you
there
say,
are some.
Yes, there's none.
No.
There
are some governors that are making efforts. There are some governors.
Obiora, let us look at it critically.
Okay.
These people who are doing well with IGR, they have no choice other than to do well with IGR. Lagos State, Rivers State, Kano. I mean, these states have no choice than to do well in IGR because of where they are strategically located and the concentration of both human, and corporate entities that are concentrated in this area. So the tax will come in whether they get up from their butts or not.
Anyway, I don't think we're actually talking about just the IGR of taxation, because that seems to be the only place that the governors talk about IGR. How to get the market women to pay more, how to get the street hawkers to pay more and all that. Yeah, I think that what we are looking at is, what are they doing in agriculture? What are they doing in solid minerals? What are they doing in the other places that they can generate funds from, besides collecting money from Abuja and besides taxing their citizens even more? But what I was saying is that some governors, we have a couple of governors who are trying to do the right thing in the country. I don't think that the 36 governors are just not doing anything.
Well, if you put it that way,
yeah,
definitely, on a scale.
You agree with me that some?
No, yeah, if you put it on a scale, definitely some are obviously doing much better, and not necessarily the ones with the most money.
Anyway, let's talk about what we have to do today. If you have been on the social media, is it on the social or in the social media? I'm a little confused now. You will know that in the past couple of days, not actually more than 1 week, there has been this big, debate and controversy about a bill being proposed by the National Assembly to regulate, to some extent, the activities of non-governmental organizations or civil society organizations. And the civil society organizations are up in arms.
Yes, because they believe that the bill, Obiora, if you've seen it, and it has indeed passed first and second reading, it's gone to committee stage, and the committee is going to, very shortly begin public hearing on it.
Actually, they've done some public hearing.
So that means that the bill is almost coasting home, to becoming an act of parliament.
Anyway, we hope to focus on that bill and the controversy that's been brewing since Nigerians are getting to know more about it. Just this morning, I saw this this piece by our own man Tietie. I think he was
our in-house analyst.
I think he was impatient. He didn't want to wait to go to any TV station. So he went out on his own, put out something on the internet, asking all the civil society practitioners in the country to get off their offices and go contest for public office. Actually, contest for public office that will take them to the legislature. And he says if they get there, then they can make good laws.
Well, we hope Tietie hopefully will join us later today to at least, from a legal perspective, our in-house analyst, to take a look at that bill for us.
Okay.
Also, we're expecting the chairman of the House Committee on Civil Society Organizations, that's Honorable Peter Akpatasin, who confirmed to us that, of course, that will be on the program also today. We're still trying to reach him.
Okay. We'll be taking a long trip to the Caribbean. If you've been following international reports, you know that the hurricanes are, they've gone crazy. We started with Harvey within the United States. Then Emma came all the way and tore through the Caribbean. One of the countries that was really, really, really affected by Hurricane Emma is a country called Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes, Obiora, the Caribbean, a lot of the countries, the Caribbean were, greatly affected. Yeah, by, I just returned from the U.S. And I was in Texas, in Houston, which was greatly impacted upon by Harvey. I took a ride, downtown to see the devastation. All you could see, stuff in front of people's houses in those areas where the flood was really, really bad. But it's all dried up now. And one of the big lessons that, I took away from it was that somehow they know how to take care of themselves. They do not need to wait even for the government. People who were going to work will suddenly just say, look, no, I can't go to work today.
Let's go and rescue.
There are people who need help. And then people from neighboring cities coming in just to help out. And, you know, at a point, I got to one of those centers where people were still being sheltered, you know. And they were bringing in water and food, and the people were telling them, look, we have enough. You know, we have enough. And then volunteer workers as well, health workers who came in, they said, look, you can't work today. We already have enough workers. So why don't you come the day after tomorrow? We can schedule. So
I wish we have that kind of spirit.
That spirit of trying to help out.
Anyway, we have in our studio the ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda, Ambassador Wallace Williams. Dr. Wallace Williams will be taking us through the experience the country had battling Emma. And
okay, Maria now.
Maria, that's also on that path. Yeah. And then talk about what how Nigerians can grab the opportunity that created by this devastation in the Caribbean. He'll be joining us in a moment, but don't go away. Let's just take a little shot of what happened in Antigua and Barbuda.
I would say that about 95% of the properties would have suffered some level of damage. They would have lost at least a part of their roofs. Some have lost whole roofs. Some properties have been totally demolished. It is absolutely heart-wrenching.
Me and my family of 7, including an infant of 2 months, had to shelter in a closet.
Last night was a horrible experience for me.
The house was like tearing apart. Anyway, it was like it was sucking us up.
Meaning that every house, every infrastructure, every utility that is there is completely damaged and gone.
Well, that's just showing you a little of what happened in that country. And we have with us in the studio the ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda in Nigeria, Dr. Wallace Williams. Your Excellency, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Please.
Your country, I understand, is in the Eastern Caribbean.
Yes, it is.
And was the first country
to be hit
by Emma. Well, we just played back a little video of the devastation, and of course heard 1 or 2 or 3 people talk about the experiences on the night that Emma visited. Yeah. Tell us what your country is like today.
Barbuda is completely, totally devastated. No single living persons on the island right now. They have been evacuated. The entire infrastructure has been destroyed. We're talking about almost 100%. So There is no homes, there is no infrastructure, nothing whatsoever is on the island. The Prime Minister and his team had to evacuate the entire citizenry to Antigua to either stay with family or rented houses or shelter for these
This is a
islands.
country of two islands.
Of two islands, Antigua and
Barbuda.
Antigua was also hit, yes. Antigua was also hit, but not as much. The eye of the storm completely hit Barbuda and destroyed.
Barbuda.
Yes, tore through. I mean, if you look at the devastation from any angle, there's nothing left. Absolutely nothing left. Follow that with rain and flooding. You know, it's a complete disaster. So Barbuda needs help now, really do. And although you have the European countries and the US giving help to their specific territories, I mean, the US will do US Virgin Islands, they'll do Puerto Rico, etc. UK will do
France.
But, you know, they're all spreading out on France with Martinique and St. Martin
exactly.
and Guadeloupe, etc. But, you know, they're spread out and there's still not much that can be done. Nigeria being a big brother, you know, we are looking to Nigeria for a lot of help. The night that the hurricane was hitting, the Prime Minister actually called me and he said, please, 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 immediately talk to the government of Nigeria and ask for help.
So before we talk about help and if you have made any contact whatsoever.
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. Something that is a little bit, because we saw some of this happenings on CNN, you know, on worldwide TV. There were a lot of warnings to people
to evacuate.
Yes, pack up and go, but not everybody seemed to want to yield to those warnings because.
Well, no. I mean, Antigua would like to have heed those warnings, but it's a practical, logistic nightmare. You know, Antigua doesn't have, for example, the aircrafts and the ferries to be able to evacuate so many people at the same time. And don't forget that when Irma was hitting, you was not sure where it was going at the time.
To make landfall.
To make landfall. So you literally had maybe 3 days to plan. And to put that kind of logistic in place, obviously, for a small country is a real nightmare. You know, you have a ferry that goes between the islands, right? That could probably take about 100 people, plus their materials, cars, etc. Yeah. You know, think about the logistics of how many trips that will have to make for a 3 to 4 hour journey to go, 3 to 4 hour journey to come, to ensure that you can evacuate everybody. That's one. Secondly, there's a small airport in Barbuda. So that can literally just take small aircraft of 5 to 10 people. So
it was impossible to move them.
It's impossible.
Yes, you know,
it was like a miracle that nobody
died. One person
only
died.
One person died.
Yeah, it was a baby that was swept away in the onslaught of the waves. The mother tried to hold on and couldn't and was slipped away. So it was just very unfortunate.
You know, but how real is this? Because talking to you, I would like, you know, for my countrymen, for Nigerians to understand how real, you know, these natural disasters can be. Because already as we speak in Nigeria, we've had some warnings come out from some agencies that, look, there's going to be flooding.
Yes.
We've had neighboring countries, Niger Republic, I said is going to have to open up one of their dams. So there's a threat of flooding already. They've actually hinted that some people need to evacuate where they are, but, you know, they're not going to take them seriously. So how real are these natural disasters?
These natural disasters, it's unfortunate that the United States is not listening. It's climatic change, carbon emissions. It is affecting, if you look at Alaska and you've seen what has happened, you know, whole icebergs are just melting away. It's no longer a joke, it's very serious. China and all these other countries that are letting out so much emission into the atmosphere is affecting the world meteorological structure. Unfortunately for the Caribbean, it's the Sahara that actually causes the hurricanes.
From this way?
Yeah, from this way. We have
travels,
easterly jets
yes,
going at speeds, you know, straight across the Atlantic. You know, there is a 1 mile current that actually has an air current that goes down to the Caribbean that they used to use for the slave trade. You just put your ship there, it floats down. Now, and that wind that comes off the bight of Benin, right, and off Cape Verde, that is from the Sahara. And you know, in the Caribbean, you see the dust in the Sahara.
The hot air and
you see the dust on your cars and on your houses and on your clothes in some areas of the Caribbean, and that's from the Sahara directly. So that wind comes all the way down, picks up in warm water in the Atlantic, very warm water, and it becomes a fury. With that fury, it will hit the United States, hit the Caribbean, as you've seen, and come with devastating consequences. And look how many we've had within 1 week. Literally 4.
2017 is a bad year. 2017 is a bad year.
2017, absolutely. And they are still expecting more until the water cools down.
So is there no way, I mean, you come from a country that's vulnerable to, you know, ceaseless attacks of hurricanes, and just name it.
Natural disaster.
Natural disaster.
God given, you can't do. The only thing
there's nothing we can do as human beings.
Yes, there are things you can do. I am a construction engineer and a construction economist. One of the things, and look at roofing technology. 2 things you need to do is that the building code needs to change, right? And that means the buildings themselves have to be able to withstand hurricane force winds of at least category 5, which is probably the maximum you might face. Miami started doing something about it, but still, you saw what happened. You know, you just can't, you know, stop that fury. And the other thing is the wind shear around the buildings. Now, most of the Caribbean islands, the roofs are A-shaped. And you know what happens with wind. When it wants to move, and it takes off the roof.
The roof, yes.
What you have to do is to put 4, 6, or 8-sided roofing structure. I actually advised the Grenada government on that when they had Hurricane Ivan, and they put that standard in place so that, you know, you minimize, you know, your roofs being blown off. You may still get some being blown depending on the material and the workmanship, and you minimize water entering from the top, because what you normally have is a double whammy. You have the flooding coming, which you could sandbank against, but then you can't stop the rain from coming in once your roof is blown off.
Okay, let's talk about about Nigeria and Antigua.
Yes.
You said the Prime Minister had called to say, reach out to the government of Nigeria, see how they can help. Yes. Have you reached out to them?
Absolutely.
Are you getting any replies?
Well, unfortunately, 2 events happened at the same time. One, you had the hurricane, and at the very same time, you had the UNGA.
Yes.
Yes, and the President and the Minister were leaving just a couple of days after. However, the Minister has taken on board, and he has already told me he has made recommendations and submitted them. So we are waiting for their return.
But outside the government?
Outside the government, we're going to look at the private sector. To reach out to the private sector, we have just established Nigeria, Antigua Barbuda Chamber, right, which is being enacted at the moment. And they would look to drive the process with some of the private sector. Now, we can look at some of the things that might be given from the private sector. Someone like Dangote, for example, can send, you know, cement. It's not a lot, you know, bags of cement that will be strengthened, you know, and you could also use that as a distribution for the Caribbean region and North and South America. Just bag it there. Those are some of the things. They need actual material. No,
are you talking during the assistance process or something that will be enduring, that he can actually come in with his business?
Manufacturers Association, you know, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, these are people who can look at who do we have that are looking for those markets. That's thereafter, absolutely. After government help, we're looking at who else could come down. There's hotels to be invested in, there's housing, there's infrastructure, there's power. You know, those are areas that people
How is it for businesses, like a Nigerian business, to come into Antigua?
Absolutely easy. The government allows concessions. You can get at least a 30-year tax holiday. You can bring in your equipment free of charge. You can bring your personnel.
Is it a free zone?
You have a free zone as well. There is a free zone as well. And the government is looking for investors to come in and utilize, to diversify. So you don't only have to look at the tourism aspect. You can look at manufacturing in the free zone. You can look at solar panels. You can look at shoes. You can look at leather goods. You can look at whatever you think you can do as a stepping stone to the larger market outside of Nigeria.
But with a country like that being prone to an annual
influx,
an annual hit by
yes.
The hurricanes, which come every year, don't you think that itself would make a lot of people probably just want to stay away?
If you have the structures in place, you batten down the hatches. I mean, we all have disasters. Nigeria has disasters. Everywhere has disasters. How you manage those disasters. So if, for example, you have structures in place that can withstand a Hurricane 5, right? And you batten down the hatches, it passes after 2-3 hours. Business has to go on, isn't it? You minimize what you have. So you build the structures for withstanding whatever is the risk. It's a risk. You go into war zones, don't you? People go into war zones and make more money out of a war zone.
Okay,
and that goes on for weeks and months and years. A hurricane is probably just a few hours. So you minimize the risk.
I read somewhere that in Antigua and Barbuda and in much of the countries of the Caribbean,
yes,
you have this arrangement where people can come do an investment of so amount, and it offers them citizenship.
Citizenship
it offers
by
them
investment, yes.
How does that work?
Yes, Antigua and Barbuda has citizenship by investment program. So it is offering investors the opportunity as well to have a global citizenship, right? By investing in the country, you become an Antiguan.
What opportunities does it offer? I mean, what will I gain being a citizen of Antigua?
Well, a citizen of Antigua means to say the passport of Antigua has 135 or 33 countries that you can visit without having to go through the long process of visas, etc. Right? So it is an advantage. It is a real advantage for an investor and a business person who says, okay, I don't want to be standing in line every other 3 months.
What kind of money are we looking at for that kind of investment?
Well, there are thresholds. There's a government bond, right, which is around $300,000, and then there is a step up from that, and that is for people who are looking at hotels or others. You're looking at probably $500,000, and that provides you, once you have an investment that falls under the program, because they're looking to diversify and generate revenue and jobs, then that is the area that you can come in with the citizenship by investment. It's a threshold. I mean, what they're doing is to ensure that not every Tom, Dick, and Harry says, "Okay, I'm coming in." you have to bring serious investment,
serious money,
and the government, they don't touch your funds. Your funds are there for you to use, but you have to show and commit to some seriousness.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Your Excellency.
We hope that they will rebuild as fast
quickly
as
possible.
Yes, and we need the help. We need the help.
Okay, we've been speaking with Ambassador Wallace Williams, Ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda in Nigeria. Ambassador, thanks again.
Right.
We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the proposed NGO law that is causing so much controversy in the land. Don't go away.
Are you watching Nigeria's biggest late night show? In a recessed economy, an economy that had gone into recession through no fault of ours, but the fault of the previous government, who refused to save anything when they sold oil at $110 a barrel, and we're producing 2.2 million barrels, our OPEC quota, full capacity, they saved nothing.
Change in the leadership in National Assembly is normal. It is not very abnormal. No. We are 109 in the Senate. Only 10 people are in the leadership. 99 are not in the leadership, and I'm not better than any of them.
I don't have issues. I don't have any strained relationship with the governor because I left PDP. PDP is dead. PPP is dead.
Poverty is inherited from one generation to another. And unless you do something from outside, an external support, those people will never leave poverty.
Giving out a welfare package, they've done the basic things. They are giving out something extra to uplift. We have not done the basic.
We know the sufferings of the people. We hear the cries of the people. We are sad about the hardships that they are going through. I can say from personal knowledge that that is one of the things dearest to the hearts of Mr. President.
Things are changing. Yes, to the ordinary man, it's difficult for you to see those changes because for now, those things that need to change gets back to the roots.
Hearing.
Okay, we have Frank Tietie, our in-house analyst, joining us. Frank, you're welcome.
Pleasure.
Frank, sit down. We're also expecting the chairman House Committee on Civil Societies and Development Partners, Honorable Peter Patterson, who incidentally, of course, is going to chair the public hearings. But Frank, the NGO bill, I mean, a lot of Nigerians didn't even hear about it, not until the last 1-2 weeks. It was just sailing through quietly, and now all of a sudden there's so much noise. Why?
Well, because it goes against every principle of freedom that is embedded in our Constitution. It's actually a direct affront at those who have taken a lot to make sacrifices to clear the mess that we have had as a country that has been operated by a set of people who, specifically the political class who haven't governed us well from 1960, who have made a mess of our resources. And then this is what the NGO and civil society communities in this country exist for. And to now think that having done their business in such an atmosphere of freedom, to now think that there is this unnecessary intervention that does not have any good contained in it to stifle, to stop, to make the work of civil societies and NGOs difficult, it's utterly needless. And the members of the civil society community are still in a state of shock that any government in this modern world would ever conceive such principles, would ever conjure such kind of imagination that they would have such principles embedded in a modern democracy. Okay. It's very unprogressive.
Okay, Frank, are you saying that the civil society organizations, the NGOs, should not be accountable to the people they represent? I mean, most of the funds that they look for are funds they are supposed to use to take care of Nigerians. Is it not proper that Nigerians at least should see and know what they do with the millions of dollars that they attract into the country? I
think there's a lot of ignorance here. And that ignorance on the part of the National Assembly, obviously on the part of the National Assembly. We have a 2011 law called the Financial Reporting Council Act of 2011, under which the former Executive Secretary Jim Obase, under Jim Obase, we had the 2016 Code of Governance for Not-for-Profit Organizations, pursuant to that law. And that law merely restated the law that governs not-for-profit organizations in this country, that is Part C of the Company and Allied Matters Act that was enacted in 1990 and that has undergone several amendments. 2004 Act, the Company and Allied Matters Act. That is the applicable law. Now, under that law, NGOs and then the various tax laws that are applicable to not-for-profit that are being operated by the Federal Inland Revenue. Now, in this country, no fund comes in without the knowledge of the financial institutions, particularly the Central Bank of Nigeria. And then NGOs give accounts, they make returns, they publish their returns every year to the Corporate Affairs Commission.
No, if you say publish,
yes.
Frank, the issue is publish to who?
Let me tell
in
you.
national dailies?
No. The point is this. I need to let you know something. There's what we call constructive notice in law, and that is the reason why we have a company registry known as the Corporate Affairs Commission. Anything you publish there, it is constructively deemed to be published to the whole world.
No,
and
Frank,
that is the reason why you only need to pay the sum of 2,000 naira to obtain any document as a member of the public from the Corporate Affairs Commission.
Okay,
that's all you need to do.
Okay, Frank,
these are laws we have in our country already.
Yes.
What do they have against NGOs operating freely?
No, Frank, you are not. Unfortunately, it looks like on this matter you won't be very objective. You are our in-house analyst, so we expect you to be.
I'm also the Secretary of Citizens Advocacy.
So you are involved with an NGO.
Oh, yes.
So in that case, let me ask you one or two questions arising from the fact that Honorable Jibril, who the sponsor of the bill, claims that some persons who registered an NGO sought money from donor agencies outside Nigeria to help victims in the Northeast, possibly Boko Haram victims. And they made away with that money. The victims never saw the money. The money was collected in the names of the victims. They never saw the money. They never saw the persons. They never saw any kind of help whatsoever. Now, that gave rise to the fact that somebody said, hey, wait a minute. My people are being cheated out here. This may also be happening nationwide. So maybe we need to check what they do. Does that not make sense to you?
No, the point is when you have a law, an intending law, the bill, the kind we have, that will set up a commission that will determine whether you should receive money from abroad or you should receive money or to spend a particular money. When you have a law that would determine...
No, it does not say whether you should receive it. It said if you receive it, you must declare.
Well, the point is this. The point is that it will only have to allow you, for you to even receive that money, you need some clearance. Take a look at the
licensing
of the law.
Licensing.
Frank Mamode asked you a specific question.
No, we'll deal with that question.
No, you deal with it right away. No, deal with it right away.
Let's
that some persons had used the name of victims of the Boko Haram attack, collected money, and that money was not dispensed in their favor.
Wait. The point is this. They did not occur.
You don't have a problem with that?
No. The point is that, is it true? Is it true?
No.
No. Just because Jubril said it, does it make it true?
No.
We have challenged.
Okay.
No. The proper thing would have been such and such an NGO with such and such a name, with such and such a person as the executive secretary or the executive director collected money. Look, we've passed the stage where you can just, with cheap propaganda, sell this kind of lie, sell this kind of backwardness to Nigerians. We passed that stage. What stops Jubril from mentioning that NGO? As if we don't have criminal laws in our country that can deal with criminals, whoever they are imposters.
So what do you think is going on? If you think that
what is going on clearly is a simple attempt on the part of the National Assembly, the lazy part of
Frank, you have to calm down, Frank.
No,
you have to. No. Let's have this conversation. You have to calm down.
Yes.
Good.
The point is this: what is wrong with our country? What is wrong with our country is created by the political class that is being corrected by the NGO and civil society community. What is wrong?
Are you saying, Frank, that the NGO society, that they are sacrosanct? Nobody should say anything about them.
The point
they
is
don't answer to anybody.
They are answerable to the law. They operate a system that recognizes the powers of the government.
Well, I think this we are just unfortunately we're almost out of time. We're just Honorable Peter Akpatasin he will just coming very quickly.
Please, come in.
Whatever time we have left, very unfortunate. We're almost out of time.
You're welcome.
Honorable, please sit.
Yeah, so you just came on time because Frank thinks that the National Assembly had overreached itself in talking about this proposed law for NGOs. Tell us, I mean, you're a member of the National Assembly. Why are you getting involved in NGO business?
Well, I don't think that the proposal before us amounts to getting involved in NGO business. It is a proposal for a piece of legislation to set up a commission to coordinate the activity, coordinate and regulate, as it is written, the activities of NGOs and CSOs in the country. And it is a bill that was initiated by a leader of the House. And the intent of the bill, as stated in the bill, is to ensure that it creates a clearinghouse for all the activities of NGOs. Presently, what we have is a situation where so many agencies are involved in one way or the other, in registration, in coordination and all that. And the bill intends to put all that together and have a commission responsible for that, so as to ensure transparency in the whole process, ensure aid effectiveness, because most of the NGOs provide development support to government and the country. And some of these activities that they do are aimed at providing solution to certain deficits that we have in the country. And when you provide aid to a community, to a group of people, there are set objectives for that purpose. And the bill seeks to ensure that those objectives are realizable.
Okay. Honorable, what some of the NGO people have said, and I've heard it in several fora, they say, look, they want to regulate our activities. We have not even finished monitoring and regulating their own activities. So if they are there to support government, like you confirm, with some development activities, even your own activities that a lot of Nigerians are complaining of day in, day out. But let's leave that aside. Why are we having religious organizations involved in this bill? On Friday, the House said, no, religious organizations are not involved. But by definition, in your bill, they are going to be included. Can you clear this gray area?
Well, I don't think I'm in a better position to clear it than the person who initiated the bill, who came up with the piece of explanation that you just alluded to. Yeah. He's made it very clear that it is not intended at regulating religious organizations. But when you broadly, define NGOs, people can actually say, so long as churches or mosques and the rest of them are not government-owned or they are not for profit purpose, they could be termed as non-governmental organization. But the definition as contained in this bill by Honorable Buba is for either international or national, non-governmental organization involved in partnership with the government.
Yes, but let me,
towards development.
This is a very important question because it's one of the issues that is really generating the noise. And I would wish that you do not evade the question, because you are chairman of the House Committee on Civil Societies, Development Partners and all that. You are going to chair the public hearings and all that. So even if somebody brought the bill some months ago, you are in the center of the bill now, whether you like it or not. So you should be able to, is there no way they can tinker with the bill to clearly exclude churches and religious organizations?
Sincerely, I don't think that there's any part of the bill that specifically says anything about religious organization. But I think what you are suggesting is that we should find a way of, bringing a clause to say in specific terms that this does not include churches and the rest of them. The only way to do that is to make that contribution at the public hearing. The essence of public hearing is to give the public the opportunity to make their input, their observations, and the rest of them, which is the kind of thing that you are suggesting. That's exactly what I equally stand for. That the public should be given the opportunity to make their input. And again, when you do public hearing, it does not mean that the bill must scale through. as it is.
Okay.
Or whether I should go
Pastor,
at all. It means
want
that
to help you a little.
the impute could either make it get through or not, or it will be amended.
Okay. I actually want to help you here in your argument.
Thank you.
A lot of churches, if they escape that they are not NGOs, a lot of churches have NGOs. They run NGOs.
Yeah.
So are we going to just turn a blind eye because they are churches? They are not going to be.
If churches run NGOs, the NGOs have to comply with the extant laws.
Okay. Before Frank comes in, this commission that the House is proposing, do we have it in other countries? Or is it a Nigerian or an original Nigerian concept?
There is in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the UK, they have theirs, but they vary. Their strategies and modus of operation vary from place to place. Okay. Let me tell you what we did when we came in this 8th assembly, when the committee was set up and I was made the chairman.
Because it died in the 7th assembly.
The first thing we did was to look at why the bill did not scale through in the 7th assembly. In any case, so many bills did not. Some of them were de novo like this one, while some of them, were continued immediately. But this came as a new proposal. What we did as a committee was to first of all look at why. Why is it that people were against it? And then we got some information. We then called NGOs and CSOs together and said, come, let's discuss this whole thing. Look at the kind of proposal. What is it that you are concerned about? What are your worries?
You had that
three times.
You met with the NGOs 3 times?
Yes, 3 times. The last one was in, what do you call it now? Rockview Hotel on the 25th of July, where NGOs from across the country, very, very, important people from, the civil space, they came there to make input. That was our personal contribution to make sure that the CSOs have the opportunity.
Was there representation from some of the big wigs in the civil society?
Oh yes, sure.
You can name 1 or 2 of them who were present there?
Well, I name organizations. I don't have the name of individuals, but I have the list, with me, which I can forward to you. The program itself was sponsored by an NGO. It was attended by NGOs selected by themselves. Okay. They selected themselves to attend.
Frank, did you attend that?
No, certainly not. I mean, he's an honorable member of the National Assembly, and I would give him his proper respect. But I think the position he holds here cannot be true. Firstly, there is only one government institution that is responsible in the registration of NGOs in this country, and that's the Corporate Affairs Commission, which is equivalent of the UK Charity Commission. You don't have to unnecessarily duplicate government agencies. This is needless, especially when we have a robust law like the Company and Allied Matters Act of 1990, now 2004 Act. You don't need that. Look, let me tell you.
Because are you going to the public hearing? Because there's
let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you.
Frank,
this bill will go nowhere.
Okay,
look,
Frank.
The reason is clear.
Can you please calm down?
This bill threatens the foundation of democracy in Nigeria.
Can you please calm
down? It cannot pass.
Just calm down. Let me bring that issue up.
It cannot pass. I can assure you. If you call, whether you want to call me being prophetic here, it cannot pass. Frank. It is threatening democracy.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Okay, there is the fraud unit in Nigerian Police Force.
Yes, even in the EFCC is there.
Well, hold on. Effectively equipped to handle all fraud cases.
Yes.
Yet the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria created an EFCC, even if the police has a full department for fraud. Yet they created the EFCC. So at times, is it not necessary to because the CSC is quite big and it has quite a lot it attends to? Will it also?
What about planning commission?
It has got nothing to do with. Let me tell you.
Let me tell
you.
Just 30 seconds because we're out of time. Unfortunately, Honorable didn't get here quite early. So
can you imagine the National Assembly considering a bill to challenge, to create a commission that will determine whether this group is a corporate person or not? When we have a constitution that provides for it in section 39
Well, thank you very much. I think we need to make the point that public hearing is an opportunity for people to come and express their opinions and
we'll be there.
I will encourage concerned people to come there. The fact that the bill has passed through second reading does not mean that people cannot make their input.
Okay.
And that is an opportunity for us to spell out some of these concerns. But I still want to, to believe very strongly that there is no aspect of the bill that is targeted at religious organizations.
Oh, no, it's targeted at NGOs. It's targeted to because you don't like NGOs. So it's targeted at NGOs.
O&M Show.
It's okay.
My name is Mamode Akura. Thank you all so much for watching.
I'm Obiora Ilo. Thanks for watching. It's an ongoing discussion. We'll talk more about it. Don't go away.
From AIT Studios.